Thank you very much for all you interested people for coming out here tonight. I'd like to take this microphone away from me and just try to talk. I don't like having this like this. I wish I would have had another mic. We didn't have a chance to get our hands on one, so if we can keep this quiet so we're at a level, we'll have a chance to speak freely amongst each other and with, if you'd like to fire some questions away at me. But tonight I'd like to once again say thank you very much for showing up. And we do have some individuals in the audience here that are from different organizations. I understand that we have a individual from the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. We have some representatives from Watersheen First Nations. We have some representatives from Tagamou. Let me double check. I don't want to incorrectly say this. Dwight Sutherland, Chief of the Tagamou Tackwater First Nation people, here representing them. Also, we have another one from Golden Lake, here with us again tonight. Question for the audience: is there anybody here from the Ministry of Natural Resources? Any employees, anybody that's, I'm just curious to see if anybody is here. All right, thank you very much. Can you guys hear me? Yeah. Okay. Let me give you, we also have a lady by the name of Bonnie Devine. Bonnie Devine is right over here, sitting next to Chief Dwight Sutherland. Bonnie is the owner-operator of Shemus Lodge. For those that are from this area, knows of Shemus. Those that aren't, she's an outfitter in the area here that has been struggling also with some of these. And now it's for me. Who am I? My name is Peter Conopelto. I'm a tourist operator, second generation from Cochrane. My father is Steve, who was passed in January. He started the company back in early '76, and it's been an enterprise that we've been driving with our family and other members, employed people, had 3 airplanes, had bear guides. One of the gentlemen back here from one of the First Nations, who's one of our expert bear guides, was with us for many, many years. We took our first hit when the progressive conservative government killed our spring bear hunt. And it just kept leading on. As the second generation person, I've had the opportunity to see some of this destruction at first hand. We used to have 40 outpost camps. In those 40 outpost camps, we used to have a fee of approximately $115 to $190 roughly for a permit fee called land use permit. We now pay $965 for these land use permits. If you do the math, we went from $4,000 a year to $40,000 a year. Increase that, take away the spring bear hunt, put gas, the price of gas going through the roof. Airplane gas is just twice the price of what you see at the pumps for your gas. Just keep adding these things, and then add this hit that you guys are affected with. I'm down here speaking on behalf of some of the other people that are in this area that are operators. We have hits coming. You guys don't even know about them yet. I've got an inside information on these hits that are coming. This is what I'm here with you guys tonight to share. Everything that is presented to you guys here tonight is my beliefs, and only my beliefs. Anybody else's names that are included in here, or any other statements that came in from in here, I had permission from them to put them in here. And these are all my beliefs. They have nothing, these individuals that gave this stuff to me was for concern. So, on that note, I'm stressed out, I'm nervous. This is my first time in a group like this. I'm sure there's people in this audience here from other organizations that have dealt with 10,000 people in front of them. And I do want to cut back a little bit, and I want to thank a couple of our local politicians. Prior to this presentation, we knew this presentation was coming back on May the 5th. We sent an invitation out to, I don't want to mention any names, I don't want to start a war with the candidates, But one individual was invited to come down here on the 5th of May, never showed up. Has sent somebody in here and has a vested interest in here. He's a very good politician, okay? I was hit the heart when I was told on the 22nd that they could not cancel the meet candidates in Sturgeon Falls, and they wanted to stay there instead of coming here. When some of these politicians, I wouldn't say all of them, but there were some individuals that knew that this was happening then, and they had the opportunity over 15 days to reschedule somewhere else. We do have the NDP party sent a representative here because our John Van Thorn, I think I said his name correctly, does have a vested interest in this. He was the critic for the Ministry of Natural Resources. He's the type of guy that would go after the ministry on issues like this. I'm not here to promote the NDP, I'm not here to promote Liberals, I'm not here to promote the PC parties. I'm just asking you guys, this is an election time. This is the purpose, one of the main purposes why we're here today, is to put pressure on these people. They're sitting down south and they're talking all about this gas plant failure. I don't care about the gas plant failure. Give it to the proper authorities. They did it to Mr. Brazo and the rest of the gang in Parliament when they did something nasty. They went into an investigation, they found guilty of something, they processed it, they did it. Well, let's do it with the gas plant. Leave it alone. Find some new directions. Take care of us up north. Northern Ontario produces some of the largest industries in this province, other than the automotive industry, which is slowly starting to collapse in the south. We have De Beers diamond mines. We have Dieter Gold. We have Tembec Industries and other logging industries in the area. They take a large sum of our tax dollars and they send them down south. Does this tax dollar come back up to us? I have no answer to that. I don't have a study for that. But I can rest assured that these dollars should be coming back to us because we are suffering up here. They're using all our roads, our highways, our back roads. Everything that leads to our resources is being destroyed by these industries up here, and they send the money back thinking that they made an agreement to send this money back. Well, they did. I will show you tonight that the government decided not to give it back to us anymore. They just cut us. I believe the percentage is 24%, which I think is the total is in the above $30 million. And so, I'm just running the clock here a little bit. I'm going a little bit too far ahead, but I just want to give you guys a little bit of what's coming in this presentation. How did I come to here? I met Marty Devine. I had an opportunity to go fishing with a long-lost husband, and we started talking on the ice. And I said to him, man, you guys got something coming down the pipe in regards to moose hunting. And he said, yeah. He said, I hear they're cutting the tag back a little bit. I said, no, I got wind of cutting them totally. I was the information I got. Totally going to close the season. So it was released on April 16th. It took me about 4 days to get my hands on it. When I was worried that us in the north, the Cochrane area, and so on, were going to get hit. Actually, we got an increase. Yeah, Zone 26 in Cochrane, North Cochrane, got an increase in tags. I don't know why. I found a study yet to prove why they did it. But we're going to go through this and we're going to see what you guys make decisions on this. So, talking with Ralph, I met this lady Bonnie, frustrated. So I decided, well, I'm going to communicate with Bonnie, seeing that this is in the Kirk Lake area, and if I was to communicate with Cochrane District Office, they probably would tell me the same thing, communicate with Kirk Lake, their area, talk to them. I use Bonnie as my liaison to get into the Ministry of Natural Resources and get some questions asked and answered. I'm sure if the Ministry of Natural Resources knew that Connor Pelkey was asking political questions to our government, that I would have been closed, the door would have been closed instantly. Which I will prove to you in Bonnie's last letter when we found out that I was going to be at this presentation, make this presentation, in 3 sentences. We answered your questions, have a nice day, we're not coming. Okay? That's the truth. You'll see, we got it all right. So, on that note, I worked with Bonnie. Bonnie sent the question. Let's get started with this. Yes, the question is, are we in trouble? Yes, your zone is in dramatic trouble. Not just your zone. I'm going to continue on with this presentation. I'm going to Kapuskasing, I'm going to Timmins, Ontario, I'm going to Thunder Bay. They have the same problem in hers. There's a zone there that got hit. There's zones out in Western Ontario that got hit as well. Okay? Zone 28, some of the topics, moose harvesting and managing, black bear managing, access road maintenance. A lot of you guys aren't worried right now about the access road maintenance because it hasn't been brought to your attention. Spring bear hunt, we all know about it, right? It's been on our tables for years. It's, to me, would be, if any politician wants to close the seal the north, it's guaranteed that he's going to fight and put spring bear back into northern Ontario. One of the biggest reasons is safety. And I'll tell you why some of our zones aren't getting opened up in this area. You guys are all going to be dumbfounded. I'm going to say we are our worst enemies when it came to this. Okay? Your access roads. You don't even know what's coming down the pipe. Why? We have till June 2nd to vote on this. I'll give you a website. It's on your piece of paper that you guys picked up at the door. It's called Onterra. Go look at the website. The government made it public. I didn't recall going to a meeting, seeing it in the newspaper, seeing it on the news. Liberal governments announced that they're going to cut the access road funding. Website, we can educate ourselves by looking at it. Moose management in our province right now is the hotter topic than the spring bear hunt. That's for sure. Okay? Our finding source resource. Communications with the MNR. Our website information came from all the MNR's websites. Any of this information came from websites that you guys are allowed to go and look at and get. I just took them, copy, paste them, and show them to you. They're all 90% of them are on that piece of paper that you guys are in possession of. MNR, for some that don't understand, equals Ministry of Natural Resources. How did we start? Simple request from Bonnie Devine. Here's her letter. How does the ministry justify not having a spring bear hunt in this year's District 28? Okay? Bears kill more moose than hunters. Well, I'm going to pick on my girl Bonnie here for a second. Okay? Because the comment that Bonnie's making right there, right now, is the kind of letter if I got my hands on it, I would dissect. You know, bears kill more moose than hunters. Bonnie, where's your study? You have a study to prove that? You think it's pretty bold statement. Thank you. We will be overrun by bears and our moose population will drop even further. Yeah, we're going to be overrun by bears eventually. Do we need a study? Yes, we do. But do we have our own study? Yes, we do. We are a study. You guys are active outdoors people. You're in the bush. You've seen what you've seen 15 years ago. Let's go back to 1995. You walked in the bush. Did you bring a firearm with you? Were you worried about a bear and a mother cub walking down the thing? Nobody here would say that. Okay? Here we are, 2014. I know 90% of the guys that have campers that are out there camping pack a gun underneath the seat of their vehicle or in their camp. Conservation officer asks them, what do they do with this firearm? I'm going to educate you. Do not ever tell a conservation officer that you got it there for shooting moose, or shooting bear, or protection of bear. You have the intent. We do have a right in Canada to discharge a firearm on Crown land. Me, I take a firearm in the bush with my kids. My kids are all young kids, just like this. And we have a fire practice. It's a good place, a safe place. You know, you got a good background, you got trees there to back up and so on. So, these are things I do when I go to the bush. According to the regulations this year, we are dropped from 450 tags to 30 tags. Yep, you're right, Bonnie, on that. The ministry counts moose from the air, which is impossible as we live in a bush and a moose can't be seen from the trees. Well, Bonnie, you're correct. Kind of right, but yeah, we can count moose from the air. I've been in helicopters many, many times, and I've seen moose. But yeah, you're kind of right. We're going to get to the end of your statement. The tourism industry will suffer greatly as the busiest time of the year is moose hunting. Yeah, we all know that. It is one of the busiest, but you know what? Statistically, spring bear hunt brought in more revenue than fall moose hunting. Why? Because only certain outfitters in the area had possession of what we call the golden tags that were allocated to us from the Ministry of Natural Resources. Some of the bear outfitters out there didn't even have moose tags, so they enterprised off the spring bear. There's an outfitter, Zabrucha Outfitters in Cochrane. This gentleman used to be able to afford to buy a new vehicle every second year, upgrade his equipment every second year, run one of the best bear hunts in Northern Ontario, in my opinion. This gentleman can barely afford to do an oil change on his truck. And that is not a lie. That's what happened to our bear industry. Okay?
I have a tourist operator, and without this business, I can't see how I can stay in operations. You're right, Bonnie. You know, add all this economic stuff, yeah, you're gonna be out of business very shortly, so we're gonna brainstorm something with you. We're not done, Bonnie. We're gonna brainstorm some business ventures for you. I find it very hard to believe that the shortage of moose tags in this area is so low. Yeah, I find it too. Mr. Blightus made a comment today to me on the telephone. He says, yeah, go get him, Pete. He says, it's funny, he says, the ministry reported that there's 94% of the moose drop in here. Well, yet Quebec is only 2 kilometers away, 2 miles away. What's the border, right? 2 kilometers. They've reported an 84% increase in moose population.
Yeah.
Somebody tell me what is going on in
So
Ontario.
you know where the border is?
Is that what it is? I think Ontario cut back 2 miles.
That far moves in the French one, the Martian.
Okay, I think it's the entertainment. Remember in the days we used to have entertainment here in Ontario? You know, nightly entertainment, I think all our moves are gone and back to the nightly entertainment. The word around our area is a lot of hunters are not even going to bother purchasing a license this year. Yeah, you know what, Bonnie, that's kind of true. A lot of people are going to give up. We already battled the FEC. We already battled, you know, moose allocation, moose draws, moose this, rules and regulations. A lot of hunters that I know personally have given up on moose hunting for the simple reason that it just keeps getting harder and harder and harder to try to do this moose hunt. Same goes with the spring bear hunt. It's getting harder and harder and harder. I used to harvest bears. I haven't shot a bear in 15 years. Yeah. It's come to the point. Is government not only hurting the economy, but are they not only hurting themselves? Like, they require revenue to keep them operating. Well, a lot of the revenue comes from these moose tags. Do you think, or do you not think that they're making a mistake with this? Yeah. But there is something else happening with this purchase. There is going to be a moose license purchase, but it's not going to be in this zone. It's going to be in other zones. Yes, I come from Southern Ontario. We'll be hunting in another district this year. Yep, you're right, Bonnie. Let's do it. All right. We apologize for the delay in responding. Here's Bonnie sent this letter in. Here's our response. I am showing you. If you guys think this is taking a little bit too long, so let me know. I can slow down on some of these speeches here. Here's Bonnie's reply from the Ministry of Natural Resources on May 7th. Thank you for your inquiry. We apologize for the delay in responding to your emails. They apologize, that's nice. Our Northeast Region Operation Division provides the following response. A Central Ontario Moose Bear Wolf Research Study focused on Wildlife Management Unit 49. Bonnie, what zone are you in? Thank you, Bonnie. And the west half of Algonquin Park with the result published in 2013. Where are we going? We're going to Algonquin Park here? I don't know what's going on with this letter. Can somebody, am I reading this letter wrong? Or do you guys follow me how I'm reading this letter? From Wildlife Management 49, the results indicated that 35% of annual moose calf mortality was attributed by the 6-day gun hunt. We had a longer than 6-day gun hunt. You 28, don't you? 20% to year-round predation by wolves and bears, a 45% of combination of malnutrition exposure in the spring and malnutrition, winter ticks in their first winter. My answer is this study hunting mortality on calf moose? Oh, sorry. In this study, hunting mortality on calf moose was 75% higher compared to predation. Predation is predators against each other. In relation to this question, not quite yet. I'm going to come back to this one, okay? Do you guys understand anything that was answered in this? Okay. So what is this? And I don't want to use this word because we have a lady here from the NDP here. She's going to report to John that I'm battering the politician. This is the way I say, my father taught me this, was the politician's answer. They're answering you what you're asking, but they're sending you over to somewhere else to try to get you away from it. That's my theory. I apologize to the politicians, but this is who I am. Paragraph 3. The Ontario government, this is a statement coming, this is a letter. We have the letter right here. This is a letter coming from the Ministry of Natural Resources. Okay? The Ontario government has the responsibility to protect, or help protect all Ontarians through appropriate wildlife management practices. Question number 1, real quick. Are we being protected with the bear management? spring bear? I don't know. We introduced a bear management pilot project in the spring from May 1st to June 15th, 2014, in an attempt to enhance public safety and reduce problem bear conflict activities in the areas of Northern Ontario. This two-season pilot project, which includes a limited bear hunt open to the Ontario resident only, is being held in around the communities that have reported a high level of human bear conflicts. Guess what? Remember earlier I told you guys put your own foot in your own mouth, your own worst enemies? And we do it back home, and I've done it back home as well. When we got a bear problem, we got sick and tired of calling the 911, call the police call the EMR, call the police, the police problem, this is this guy's problem. So, and many of you probably will be able to confirm this with me, because I've been on the phone and I've had it where I was told to execute the bear. I said, okay, well, if I execute the bear, sure, no problem. Bang, boom, shoot the bear. What do I do with the bear? All right, most people grab the drag it in the bush, let it spoil. Is that what we were taught to do in life? Okay? Some people know how to shoot a bear, clean a bear, keep a bear, harvest the meat. Some people that don't have patience for it, to shoot it, drag it, let it go, it dies. That's wasted game. Under the Federal Fish and Wildlife Act and the Provincial Fish and Wildlife Act, it is against the law to waste game. And our government just told us to do so. Which government? Well, one tells the other hand, tell the other hand, tell the other hand. Okay? I'm asking you guys here tonight, when you have a bear conflict, if you want your spring bear hunt to come back, start phoning. Don't phone the OPP. You phone the Ministry of Natural Resources. And if they direct you to phone the Ontario Provincial Police, you tell them that the Ontario government has a responsibility to help protect all Ontarians through appropriate wildlife management practices. And you ask them, is this a proper way of practicing this? No, it's not. The more calls you guys are going to put into the police, the more your taxes are going to go up. And this is something that Mr. Politis is in canvassing right now with the Ontario Provincial Police. He's trying to comprehend, why are we paying so much taxes? Why are our RPP going up? It's because we're calling there. Every time we get a call from a bear, it goes up. Okay? Call the Ministry of Natural Resources. Quit calling the OPP unless you are threatened. If you got a bear that's coming around and threatened, and you need to call 911, call 911. But if you've got a concerned bear that's coming around periodically every night and stuff like that, do me a favor, call the Ministry of Natural Resources. But at any circumstance, I'm not directing you not to call the Ontario Provincial Police. I am telling you, if you are threatened and if you are in trouble, you call 911 immediately. Ontario made the decision to introduce the bear management pilot program after receiving support from close to 50 northern municipal councils, where the pilot project is being held, and after hearing comments from public and community partners. Anybody here from the Sportsman Club from this area? Anybody from? There's no Sportsman Club here. So there's no Sportsman Club here other than maybe Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. Okay, thank you. Are you? Here? Pardon me? This is the gang Anglers and Hunters. Did they ever communicate with you? Because here it says, after hearing comments from public and community partners. I think you must be a community partner. Did anybody ever contact you and ask you for input? Yeah, you can't confirm tonight, it's a little short notice. You got a copy which you might be able to, yeah, I appreciate that. So, what I'm saying is that you need to get involved. This is what we're doing tonight, we're getting involved. Here's another, paragraph 4 from Ministry of Natural Resources. From your information, Wildland Management Unit 20 East received the highest number of black bear hunters and bears harvested in the province, with the past 10 years annual average of about 980. I'm not talking about the last 10 years, I'm talking about this year. Predation is something that affects the population. 900, look at the numbers, 980 bears hunted, taken 310, in 2007 more than 1,100 bears harvested, and 500. The density of the bears in Wildlife Management Unit is about 24 per 100 square kilometers, which is an average density of this area. It's an average density of this area. You guys got a minimum of 2,400 bears roaming around your neighborhood. Okay, so if there is about 2,400 black bears in zone 28, I'm still to this day waiting for studies. The last study that they provided us, and we finally got our hands on it, Couldn't get it on the internet. Can't find it on the internet. You will not find it on the internet. And if you do, please teach me how you found it. The last study I found, which we received by mail, all the correspondence we got from the Ministry of Natural Resources was via, go look at our website, your answers are there. When it came to there, they hand delivered us this one. I've never seen this paperwork from the Ministry of Natural Resources before, but anyways, in the back, it states that the last bear study in this area was ever done was 2009. Okay? That's where we got the last numbers. Okay? And if we look at it, where are the studies from 2009 to 2013? Nobody's calculated how many bears were harvested, how many bears were shot. You don't think this has got something to do with your moose? Let's have a look. What is the average bear density for this period? Don't know yet. Here we go. Now we're getting into sensitive territory. Moose aerial inventories are conducted during the winter months, adhering to a standard protocol. Standard protocol outlined in standards and guidelines for moose population inventory in Ontario. There it is. Cost me a lot of money to print this. I don't know how many pages there is, and it's all colored. It's 46. You got another manual there, it's 105. It's got nothing to do with this. It's got to do with caribou. This is a book that they got to follow. Protocols. 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 Moose population objective. Ministry wrote this. Moose management policies. Ministry wrote this. Standards and guidelines. Ministry wrote this. There's another one. You're going to see it shortly. It's when they do their aerial survey. They have a guideline for that as well. Pretty serious, eh? You can't really move around the ministry too much without following policies and procedures. Within the Northeast region, in 2014, moose aerial inventory surveys were flown in 7 of the 27 wildlife management units. I don't care about 37, I'm talking about 28. Talk to me about 28. Moose population are estimated to be stable in 1 and decrease in 6. Decreases were seen in 23 in the Hearst district, 28 in the Kirkland Lake district, and 32 in the Wawa district, 35, 36 in Sault Ste. Marie district, and 41 in North Bay district. Whereas the population is stable for 39 in the Sudbury area. Anybody see the number zone 26, zone 24, zone 23? You know? I don't know. Well, yeah, sorry, zone 23 is there. Zone 26, zone 27, zone 30. Overall conditions for this year's moose aerial inventory surveys were good to excellent in all areas flown, and the surveys adhered to provincial standards and guidelines. They're telling me in this letter that they followed the book. The low level of calf recruitment observed in several wildlife management units are consistent with low calf harvests reported by moose hunters through postcard surveys. Question to you guys. Those little cards get mailed, you've got to fill in how many moose you've seen, how many homes you've seen, how many bear tracks or cats and all this. How many of you guys fill those out? How many of you guys fill them out first? Thank you.
Why give away?
Pardon me?
Why give away where the moose are?
Why give away from, my God, I haven't seen you in a while. Why give away where the moose are? No, you're not giving away the moose are. What you're doing is you're giving, the government is actually asking you to interact with them because they're not out in the bush as much as you guys are. Remember earlier on in my first introduction, I said, you guys are the best survey that we could ever ask for. There was a lady here tonight, she's got a video. You got to see a cow and twin calves on the way in your zone 28. Okay? She can report that to the ministry saying that we have calves. Okay? Notice I said we're going to come back to this a little bit shortly. Okay? I'm going to walk away from this for a little bit. I want to finish this letter. Factors affecting the decline may be associated with harvest, predation, parasites, such as winter ticks, habitat conditions, climate, and low calf numbers. Factors affecting the decline may be associated with low calf numbers. Okay. While it is challenged to determine the relative influence of each factor across a broad geographical area, it is suspected that a combination of multiple stressors resulted in low moose population estimates. Multiple stressors. Okay, so let's go back up to the first. So factors affecting the decline may be associated with harvest, that's us, we harvested. Predation. How can they put the state in there when they don't even have a study from 2009 to date on predation? Oh, second, they did. That's 049 on Auckland Park, they did do a study. But they tried explaining that to us that they did have one here. I don't recall, I can't even find it. Go on the internet, go on the government website. You find me, you deliver it to me, I'll apologize to the Ministry of Natural Resources. While it is challenging to determine the relative influence of each factor across the broad geographic area, it is suspected that the combination of multiples in several wild management units during the 2014 survey year. So they're basically telling me in several wildlife management units during the 2014 survey year. So they're telling me that we have a lot of stressors in all of these areas. Predation equals relationship between animals in which one eats another, multiple stressors. What are they? Come back to this shortly. The results of 2014 MIA stands for Moose Aerial Inventory. I'll show you this manual via the internet. Too big. For wildlife inventory, it showed a severe population decline compared to 2009 survey. So they're basically telling me that they're comparing the 2014 survey with the 2009 survey. Survey conditions were overall good in both survey areas. Survey conditions were overall good in both areas. Did I not say a while ago, or we read a while ago, that weather is permitting, in our exploration of moose management? Survey conditions were overall good in both survey years. So they're telling me that they compared 2009 to 2014. Anybody know that you go on the Weather Network, Canadian Weather Network, and get almost any weather report for any year? There they are here. You want to compare 2009 to 2014? I took time to look at it. I don't have to tell you what kind of winter did we have this year. Cold and lots of snow. Remember that statement. In both survey years, if you wish to discuss further details of this survey result, please contact a lady by the name of Lauren McDonald at the Ministry of Natural Resources. I believe at this point Lauren was concerned that we didn't have our answers correctly, and she required us to speak with her. Over time, the number of moose tags can vary and are determined for each year wildlife management unit to ensure hunting opportunities are sustainable. Do we have a sustainable moose hunt here? A number of factors are considered in determining moose tag quotas, including results from the Moose Aerial Inventory Survey and the hunters. Basically, this statement is telling us in order for them to make a decision about the tags, they only took two. They took the aerial survey and they took the hunter survey. Now, I've got a high school diploma. I went to Queen's University to get a teaching degree. I was a welder and an automotive teacher, not an English teacher. I didn't know how to read too good. My ex-wife actually helped me in the English because she had a BA in English, or BE. Somebody tell me, did I read that statement incorrectly? Including results from moose aerial inventory surveys and hunter surveys. Would you say that this is the only two that they took? But earlier I showed you guys that there's multiples that they have to take. The current population related to moose population objectives and information obtained locally, setting sustainable harvest levels and adjusting bull or cow tag quotas are currently the most effective tool Ontario can use to help manage moose population. 8. Setting sustainable harvest levels by adjusting bull and cow tag quotas. Adjusting. Did you get an adjustment here? You got an adjustment. You got an adjustment again. MIA, Moose Aerial Inventory. What about the black bears? We're talking about this. Is there anything in here about predation studies? Did they put the predation studies into there? Gonna come back to that. Trust me, at the very end of this presentation, we're gonna talk about this. Because there's other information that could affect our moose harvest. How many of you guys killed a moose on the side of the highway? A gentleman that works in this area, he's got, I believe it's 4 or 6 guys running up and down this highway. He said in the past 3 days, he had over close to 12 encounters with moose almost hitting him. He hears over 28. Okay? So, when a moose gets hit, the ministry usually gets called, or the OPP usually gets called. Okay? I would say to myself, if I'm doing a study for the government, I would try to include those in there, because if I said there was X amount of moose in the area, and these numbers are dying on people, I'd put these in there. What about our bears? You don't think these bears are chewing down these moose? Here's something that was brought to my attention a little while back, is that when a female, when the cow moose starts calving, I'm not a biologist, I think I'm experienced enough after hunting in the wooded areas over 40 years, that when the calf and the cow are starting to do this little birth, and the bears can smell from miles away. Do you not think that maybe the bear might, seeing that we start to see pretty large bears, you know, you don't think that maybe the bear go and consume both of them at the same time? You know, take the calf down. I know in the spring they don't like eating meat, you know, right off the bat, but they need a little bit of grass to get their bellies going. But we didn't have too much rain, we didn't have to green grass, so they're not gonna start tomorrow, but then you gotta do something, okay? Not a biologist, but I'm gonna have to take that one up with the biologist. M&R will continue monitoring the moose population through moose aerial inventory surveys and information gathered from hunter surveys. You get it? Pass the word around. Be honest on your surveys. Okay? We are aware of the concern about the health of the moose population in the areas close to Ontario, such as Minnesota and Manitoba, and we'll continue working with our colleagues in these jurisdictions. Please, everybody laugh. Make me feel a little bit better. Where the hell is Minnesota relative to Turtle Lake? You know what I mean? We have not even heard communications with the province of Quebec. We don't have communications with them? What's going on? They have a duty to communicate with the Aboriginals people, but do they? Hang on. Further on with this discussion. Later this year, the M&R will release, they will release details about the Moose Project. I wonder if the Ontario Federation of Angler and Hunters got any inside information on this project that's coming forth. Or do I have to resolve my internal connections and try to get a copy of the government quicker before the spring? What's this project coming? Which is designed to assess the number of moose the province can sustain and look at the number of harvest strategies that may affect how and when moose can be hunted. In 2013, as part of a pre-engagement for the Moose Project, the M&R implemented surveys to learn more about moose hunters' behavior. You guys got bad behavior? I do. Attitudes. I know you guys all have bad attitudes right now. Expenditures and preferences of possible moose harvest management strategies, opinions. I'm going to tell you one thing, you guys can't use this government. Quebec has been having a successful moose management program for years. I can't understand why our government, even in the last statement, they don't even communicate with Quebec. They communicate with Minnesota.
You don't want to go far.
I have, my belief is that when you take a book with a study in it, and a procedure and protocols, and you walk up to somebody and say, so you can build my house. How many people do you put out of a job? A hell of a lot of people. What would happen if the ministry didn't have to do these studies anymore? What if the ministry didn't have to do as many aerial surveys anymore? What if the ministry didn't have to? What if the ministry didn't have to? Quebec wrote the book, Quebec invented it. They've got, I think, that's my opinion. I would love to see the government go and talk to Quebec. bring it over. Pardon me? I can pronounce it. Je parle français. The result of these services will be combined with other information to help refine harvest strategies, opinions to determine which would be most acceptable and effective in meeting moose management objectives. Oh. Moose management, right here. You gotta meet this manual. Unless they got a new one written, and I don't know. We will continue to engage organizations. I got a letter today. Bonnie. Anyways, it says that the ministry answered to us the questions. It said the ministry answered us our questions in regards to our questions that were required for this presentation. And in it, it states that all our questions were answered, and they've engaged all the organizations in this area, including Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters. So I'm assuming Ontario Federation of Anglers, and this is in the letter. Whoa, here it is. No, that's the other one. Anyways, in the letter it states that they communicated with the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, and they did include their inputs, and they communicated with the wildlife federations in this area here, and they did put their input, and they communicated with all the sportsmen's clubs in this area, and they did take their input, and this is how they communicated with them in order to make this decision. In an effort to ensure the collaboration and cooperation approach when managing Ontario moose populations. Well, this next statement, you probably read it already. I didn't write it. It comes out of their procedural manuals. Okay? Aboriginal groups in the area have been made aware of this. The Aboriginal groups in the area are not really impressed with this. This will include opportunities for public stakeholders and Aboriginal groups and communities to provide input into moose population objective and harvest strategies, changes to ensure healthy and sustainable moose populations into the future. This preliminary discussion will inform the development of proposals for formal consultation. To learn more about the Moose Project, visit the Ontario.think. We recognize that moose hunting is important to the economics of Ontario and directly northern communities. Well, if the government recognizes that it's important to northern communities, where is our government today? Hit me right here when they said they're not coming. I wasn't here to pick on them. I wasn't here. I just wanted them here to maybe direct my questions. Maybe I read these questions incorrectly. Maybe everything I'm giving you guys is nothing but a bunch of lies. Okay? It is, our province is torn upside down. The Liberals couldn't get along with the NDP. Well, the PCs can't get along with the Liberals. We're in a province that's trying to fight for an election. I thought, a government would be here for this. Anyways, regards, that was the end of that letter. Okay? Well, let's recap real quick. Here's my next slide. Get serious. They offer us a study regarding Zone 49. You read it? Cut and paste right from this letter right here. Not fabricated. They state the Ontario government has a responsibility to help protect all Ontarians through appropriate wildlife management practices. They tell us that Zone 28 has 2,400 black bears, but with no evidence of an increase since 2009 to date. They follow standard protocols from their manuals. They do not supply us with studies regarding predation and stressors. They tell us that the moose aerial survey was done to the best. They will continue monitoring the moose with the input from other provinces other than Quebec. They tell us that other moose projects are coming. They will be following proper protocols. I can rest assured that once the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters leaves this building tonight, they will make sure that Ministry of Natural Resources follows some protocols.
They say that they will continue to engage organizations and Aboriginal groups to sustain a good economic and moose plan for the future.
I just want to read a quote, okay? This is very sensitive. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of history. I gave you a little bit of history of who I am.
Let me give you a little bit of history on what has been happening. This is sensitive. This is out of their Moose Management Policy, Strategies 1.8, accommodating Aboriginal and treaty rights.
Many in this room probably are aware, a lot of times we see the Aboriginal people in the Ontario government or Canadian government fighting against each other. 9.9 times out of 10, it's because they don't communicate with each other. And when they hand something to the Aboriginal groups, they sit there and they say, my God, you know, what did you do to us? I'm here, I do have Aboriginal in my blood, okay? But I'm born in Ontario, and I'm fighting for my province here. But I will read you the statement. Accommodating Aboriginal and treaty rights in the sustainable harvest of moose in a manner consistent with constitutional requirements. Working with Aboriginal organizations and communities to achieve ecological, sustainable moose populations and sustainable harvest to the sustained use of the Aboriginal people. They even made a quote in the manual that they're going to work with the Aboriginals to make sure not only that we don't slaughter all the moose and leave the Aboriginal people with nothing.
Very sensitive. Actively engage Ontarians in planning, decision-making, and sustaining the benefits of moose population through effective communications and outreach programs.
When's the last time the government has outreached to us and talked to us about anything pertaining to bear, moose? Well, this is moose. I apologize. When's the last time the government sat in Kirkland Lake or in this area and did some kind of presentation? Never. I recall one in Cochrane about 4 years ago. That's the last time I recall. Okay? But I'm sure they noted that this moose population wasn't something that just fell out of the sky. You guys shot all the moose last year. You know? Well, listen. We're going to go through the next letter. And this is where it gets a little bit sensitive. And at this point, I'm going to bring a member from the audience up here to read a little quote. And hopefully everything goes well. Okay? We responded to Mrs. Lauren McDonald, senior biologist at the Ministry of Natural Resources in Kirk Lake here. I don't know the lady. I'm just sad that this is some of the answers I get. Thank you, Miss. Thank you for responding to my letter regarding my concerns dated April 23rd, 2014 on bear and moose in Zone 28. You start off by apologizing for the delay in the request. Remember, her first statement was, we apologize for the delay in responding to your email. Okay? But we accept your apologies. This is understandable, as this is a very sensitive issue that needs great attention. Our letter, you mentioned a moose bear wolf study done in Zone 49, but in reality, my concern was Zone 28. We need to be cooperative and supply me with me and members of this area with your study pertaining to the predation in Zone 28. That must have led you to your decisions in reducing the number of moose allocations for 2014. I'm assuming that had an effect. It was the bear. Comical, right? Please do not direct me to your websites for such, as they lead me nowhere. I've even found a website. Somebody called me up anonymously and said, Pete, all the information you need to find is www.mni.go.on// I did all that. Wham, the page came up and it says, forbidden. All right, you.
No, that's what I said after I overcome that meeting.
We asked for the studies that led them to their decisions, okay? We also indicated that that there are reports, a high level of human bear conflicts in areas you are offering a spring bear hunt. You must have a report of such for our area that supports your decision not to open this. I'm not just talking about moose here now. No, we're talking about bears and moose. So for them not to open it, they must have a report there somewhere saying that, oh, we only got 10 calls. You guys shot them all in your backyards anyways, and you had a barbecue, you didn't invite me. It must be something like that. Can you provide me with a copy of the such report? You also state that Zone 28 has a density of 24 bears per 100 square, which is an average in this area. You must have a copy of that. Looking around here. Sorry, I got too many papers over here. Anyways, they did provide us a copy. I'm talking. I had a conflict scope there. I wanted to share with you. We asked for a local report regarding human bear conflicts. No report to date supplied. 2012-13 studies. Where are they? Do they have? Where are they now? Why are they not public information? Some of this information you can tell me. Anybody ever tried to get some paperwork out of the government before? Tell you to go to Freedom of Information. Usually when they tell you that, go get it. It's sensitive. You need to get your hands on it. Peter Doucette, personal attorney of the family, called him up one time. Pete, you need to get some paperwork out of Freedom of Information. You ready to have a second born child? So that's as long as what it takes sometimes. Your letter, our letter, you also indicate that moose aerial inventories were conducted on dirt, and they stated this. The standards and guidelines for moose population inventory in Ontario. Can you provide me with such and the dates that the aerial survey was done? It is of great importance and critical to these questions can be answered in a timely fashion. Again, we're going to come back to this. Please, I need to put these issues to rest and focus on the future of how we, the people in this area, can start participating in a better managing practice to avoid any further decline in any wildlife. I basically, Mrs. Bonnie Devine, I'm going to be honest, I wrote the letter for Bonnie. Bonnie's given me a letter of authorization to do so. Now, we have other wildlife in this area, right? I don't know if, I'm just going to get off this bear, get off this moose for a second. I'm going to talk to you guys about what's our Canadian icon animal?
Beaver.
Our trusted little beaver, eh? See that one year when Canada beat the Americans at hockey? And I got it there. The beaver's holding the stick, he's pointing at an eagle, and he's got a stick. What is happening? The other day on the news, going back to the week, North Bay had problems with beavers along the side of the highway. Beavers dammed up a culvert. And somebody went there and pulled a screen out. And the government put a screen there to stop the beavers from plugging the culvert. So they pulled the screen out. Beavers plugged up the culvert, water flooded over top of the road, washed out. Were you aware of the news? Yeah. Got it hit the news. Okay? Now, what did they do? What do you guys think happened to our poor little Canadian icon? He was put to rest. Why was he put to rest? According to the news, he was a threat to our public safety. Okay? He was a threat to our public safety. I showed you guys earlier, the government said they have, the right and responsibility to protect us. Okay? What happens now? I went for a little ride in your neighborhood here while I had some time to kill this afternoon. I found a culvert that was plugged up. I said to myself, this is wow. There was another beaver. Poor little beaver. I talked to a trapper. There's a trapper here in the audience tonight. His name is Ralph. He's been around for a while. I said, Ralph, we trap this beaver. You get it out of here, be okay somewhere. So if it becomes an alive beaver, out in the woods somewhere. He says, of course. It's doable. So let me get this. Animal Alliance and Zoo Check is really after us because of our spring bears. Federation of Animals Defenders, you see where I'm going with this, eh? Why are we killing our innocent little beaver? Oh my God, look at the teeth on that thing. Holy shit, man, I gotta go. No.
Sure, you see the beaver walking down the road, you can outrun the girl, right? I'm sure. When you have a bear, it's safe. You can outrun it. Oh, I'm scared. Sure, the guy in front of you, keep going. No. That's just comical. This is comedy hour right now. Okay, so what I'm getting at with this is, why is it that when we have a bear problem right now, and we call the government, they quit doing bear relocation, bear management? I'll tell you why. I can't get my hands on the numbers. They won't give them to me. I was told it's about $50 million that they spend per year relocating those bears. Now, let's do the math. Spring bear hunt brings revenue in, creates jobs, controls the bear population to a safe number that this little girl can walk home from school and not worry about 4 or 5 bears in her neighborhood. And we got new bear license fees coming in, government needs the money, blah, 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 and all this, balances out, like, what's going on here? Now I got a trusty little beaver on the side of the road and the master of that little thing. I don't know. Just put that in the conversation here tonight, just didn't like it. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that?
Also shoot bobcats and things.
Well,
Same idea.
let's touch on that. Let's touch on that real quick, because I don't want to keep you guys here. I know the Montreal Canadiens are playing here very shortly, and they're probably going to get. Well, I don't want to say it. My best friend is a diehard Canadian guy that we lose. Like I said, you know, I get like the fever. Let's look at the Timmins, Ontario. Had a problem this winter with lynxes. Better known, some people call them bobcats. Up here, they're called lynxes. Somebody's correct me. They're the same family, just different territories that they live in, correct? Those are different on here. Different size. The lynx is a pretty vicious little animal. There was actually a comment. They shot the first one, they shot the second one. The Tracking Association got me into this. What are you doing? Let's drop this thing and relocate it. Come on, what's it going to cost us? Huh? You want to talk about costs? I'm going to tell you a little story here. I'm going to share it with you. I'm going to share it with you to the point where I got to stop talking about it. You guys heard the story about the person in Cochrane that got mauled by the bear. Right? 2 girls were heroes. Hats off to the 2 girls. I really can't understand how these 2 ladies decided upon themselves to go and save a perfect stranger. Human nature. Anybody know what it cost them to execute that bear?
Should have called you.
They should have called anybody in this audience. Right? Number 1, we would have did our standard bear practices. You know, they put a bait out, try to get the bear back. For some reason, our government made a decision to put a couple helicopters in there and some sharpshooters, cremate bear, and whatever, break down the well. These are all the stories I heard. I don't know if they're true. These are stories I heard. Okay? I was told it was in excess of $64,000 to get rid of the bear. No, this is just rumors. I have no evidence to support this. Okay? But I'm sure, even if it was $6,000, I could hire anybody in this audience. Actually, you do it for free. You want to meet. You're harvesters. You're hunter-gatherers.
$1.25 for a bullet.
Well, I know somebody that's got a 458. A little bit more than $1.25. Okay, all right. Let's, by the way, folks, there's tons of water over here. If anybody wants some water, we brought water down here for you. It's all for you. Okay, so now you've seen the letter. Here's our Ministry of Natural Resources 2014 Moose Aerial Inventory. Began on January 23rd and ended on February 28th, or 20th. The inventory was completed to according to standards and guidelines for moose populations to be attached. Weather and snow conditions were monitored daily to ensure appropriate survey conditions. Where did I go? I missed out. To obtain an accurate moose count throughout the survey. Based on this, the observation from the aircraft conditions were considered good to excellent throughout the survey. Well, January, let's go at January 23rd. Okay, January, okay.
How much snow did we have at the end of January? That's a heck of a lot, eh? How cold was it by the end of January? Okay, well, it fluctuates. Okay, I can sit here and spend all night and read you all this, but it fluctuates. No, there was a great window of opportunity in between those time periods, okay, to fly with proper visibility, proper temperatures, proper. Yes, there was. I'm not going to deny that. Was there adequate time to do the survey? According to the weather patterns here that I found on the internet through the Canadian Weather Station, the government website. I'll share it with you shortly. M&R quotes. Aerial inventory on January 24th ended January 20th from the Moose Population Inventory Guideline. This is a quote out of their guideline. Time of year. You guys can all read it. The optimal period is December 1st to January 3rd. While surveys may be done after this time, studies have shown that siteability is greatly reduced in population estimates, and I didn't change these words, may be much lower than the real population. Wow. You add that statement to add to the predation study, the OPP didn't give their information to the ministry or any other stressors according to what I've read so far here. I've come to the conclusion that things aren't looking too good. I found out that they did a moose study over in the west side of the province, late March, early April. How many of you guys go to the bush during the wintertime on snowmobiles? Everybody, right? How many moose tracks have you seen in the month of December? Tons of them. January comes along, cold weather comes along, the moose sheds their rack, you know, 30 below, starts freezing their rack, they drop, they take off. Where's the moose tracks? The moose disappeared. Where'd they go? They went to the game. They're inside the pit bows. Right? You guys would all agree with that? You're not biologists, you're not scientists? Rocket scientists? No? Weather and snow conditions were monitored daily to ensure appropriate survey conditions were available for obtaining accurate moose counts throughout the survey. From the manual, Moose Population Inventory Guidelines. For greatest precision, inventory should be carried out at the same time of year and under similar weather conditions. Do we have good winters? This winter was recorded as being the coldest in a long time, maybe? Was it the same previous years of the survey? The results from the 2014 aerial inventory showed 48% decline of moose population since 2009. Half the moose disappeared since 2009. Boy, you guys love that moose down there. You guys must be running 100% success. Okay? Let me go back to this, which translates into a density of 18 moose per 100 square kilometers. This density is below the minimum ecological threshold for this area. Ecological threshold, you can find it all in your other manual. Read about it. Tells you, you know, they gotta follow certain weather, certain foods, and everything like that. It's all in here. Okay? Okay, if no survey was performed since 2009, then why did they increase the tags? Why did they decrease the tags? We are in possession of all their manuals, all their 2012, 2013. We have some other ones here, 2009. They fluctuate, they go up, they go down. They go down, they go down, they go up. Why did they do that? According to the manuals, they can't play with tags until they do a proper survey. Whether they go up one or go down one, they've altered it.